Hey, welcome to tonight's Housing Town Hall. Thank you for coming. I'm joined with Mr. Ron Johnson, project manager here, and our partner from North Haven Communities. So we've got a couple of things. I'm going to kick it off with a couple of things that I'd like to highlight. Then I'll turn it over to Mr. Johnson for some things that he's going to highlight. And the first thing that is of note for us today is beginning next month in March, the 4th of March to mid-April, all residents of North Haven should be receiving an email that the email that's on file with your lease with North Haven from the Army for a tenant satisfaction survey. This tenant satisfaction survey is an annual thing, and it is from the Army to receive feedback from us on how happy you are with your housing and your community partner here, specifically North Haven. So last year, when we did this survey, we got feedback. The Army sent us the results. We shared them with North Haven, and a couple of things was actually done between last year and this year that our customers and our residents said that they would like to see improvements on. And even though I wasn't here last year, I did ask our team that has been here for a while what some of those projects were. And our community gardens that we have here outside the community center, I hear we're getting a new community garden over on the north town side of the house this summer with space that's available. So the community gardens, was as a result of our satisfaction survey, some place for those that like to grow vegetables and even flowers. That was a thing that was done as a result of that, as well as some area beautification things, more flowers around our neighborhood signs, at our common areas, as well as, I believe, the flower beds in front of the houses.
Right, we took those over. Yep.
Okay, they took those over, just to make our homes feel like more of what we normally see that we probably seen somewhere else, or if you owned a home in the past or you rented somewhere in the past, you had opportunity for you to plant your own flowers and your own vegetables and actually get out there with your green thumbs and make it look like how you want to look like for your home. Another thing is parking on the grass in the winter. So I guess parking on the snow and ice in the winter. Some of our neighborhoods are a little bit older with parking spaces, and our car size have grown over the years, and number of cars that our family typically have grown as well. So they asked for what can we do right now to increase some parking spaces, and parking on the grass in the wintertime was one of those answers, because we all know that parking on the road, especially when we're doing snow removal and road clearing, parking on the road is not really the answer. You've got the potential to damage your vehicle. So allowing you to park alongside your driveway was one of those things as well as installing some bolt head units over in Siku Basin, and one of the newer neighborhoods that actually has some long-term visitor parking around their parks areas, installing some bolt head units so you can plug your cars in over there as well. If you wanted to use that area, in the winter. So it doesn't matter about those things. What matters is that the feedback came back to North Haven and us, and North Haven answered your survey. So that's what I would like you to hear on the survey, because you're going to be getting emails soon, and sometimes we've taken surveys, but you never really see results of those surveys. So I want you to know that those results are coming back to us and coming back to North Haven, and we'll get together, and I'm sure we'll talk with the Resident Advisory Board as well, to see what is in the realm of possibility so that we can increase our satisfaction for our tenants, here at Fort Wainwright. So once you see that email, please consider taking it and send it off when it comes open on the 4th of March.
And one thing I'll just add to that is, so when the Colonel gets your feedback, that gets presented to us, and then our requirement is we have to come up with an action plan to address the the issues that come out in the survey, we actually have to list those out, have an action plan, brief Colonel on here's what the issue is that came out of it, here's what our course of action is, and then we monitor our progress and update them, and then we track that through the next survey. So, for example, the area beautification, we had a low score in that area. We had an action plan. Over the last year, we've executed that action plan, and then over the survey, so this is surveys behind, that area in our Lend-Lease survey went up. So there's several surveys. So when you see this, we talked about this survey fatigue. This CEL survey is the Army survey. So that's the one, you really do want to do that one, because that's where we have the action plan, there's accountability, and then we track progress. So, and we have seen in those areas where we've put into the action plan, we've been able to track progress over the years in those scores. So thanks for taking the time to do that.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll track it at monthly resident advisory boards as well when we meet with our RAB members. So thank you. All right, next thing, focus area. We talked it last time, we're going to talk it again. RV and trailer parking. Luckily, the winter time frame, there has not been a lot of RVs and trailers parked out on the roads. If you do see RVs and trailers parked out alongside the roads, definitely let us know. That is a safety hazard for vehicles. It's definitely a safety hazard for road clearing in the winter time frame, as well as for our emergency services vehicles if they have to come down those roads as well. But there is a tenant guide that we all got once we signed our leases and moved into our house. And these are standards for maintaining community standards, right? And beautification of our areas. So North Haven will allow you to have some RVs and trailers in your driveway, but you got to come let them know and get a permit for them, right? Tell them why you want to have your RV out there in the time frame that you're going to have, and they'll work with you, and they're tracking it, okay? But that's part of their tenant guide, and we ask you to read your tenant guide, see what it is on there, and please abide by it. This last summer, MWR was able to expand our RV parking area, the Eagle's Nest. We repaved it, we fenced it, we got lighting working, so when it's dark outside, you've got lighting, as well as redoing the lines, so it's actually more traffic friendly for getting larger trailers and RVs in there. So if you need a place to store your boats, your campers, your RVs and trailers, and you don't have a place to put that, whether you're new to the area or you've been for the area for a long time and finally just decided to go get your Alaska toys, is what I'm told they're called. You can go to Outdoor Rec with MWR and rent a space. And the rental fees here is based off length, how much space you actually want, but it is significantly less than storing it off base. So please read the tenant guide. And if you need a place, you can come see Outdoor Rec with MWR if you want to store it on base. If you need a place to store your toys or your RVs and trailers. So please take a look at the tenant guide. And if you got questions, you can always swing by North Haven and talk to them at their desks. So next thing I'd like to remind you guys about is I'm told it's going to be snow on the ground for a little bit longer. It may even snow into May. So just a reminder, it is your responsibility to clean your driveways and your walkways. There are services that have been allowed to come on base if you don't want to do it yourself. There are some companies out there that have the ability to come on a base and clean your driveways for you or in your walkways. But also a reminder, don't forget about your back doors as well. Your back doors should be cleared as well, because that is an entry and egress point if there is an emergency in your house, and if emergency services have to come in, they need to be able to get into your back door if your primary entrance is blocked. So that is your responsibility. So please maintain that. Maybe it will snow in May, maybe it won't. Maybe we're going to have a breakup early. But if you do have pets and they do like to go outside in the winter, or they don't, but they do go outside, and they use the bathroom outside. Please would like to remind you to go out there and pick up. Once the weather warms up a little bit and you can get to it, please go up and pick up after your pets, because when breakup happens, and the melt starts happening, those contaminants, yes, there are contaminants in your pet waste, will seep into the ground and can get into our groundwater and our river water in the area, and it could actually contaminate some of the water and water tables that are in the area as well. So, please pick up after your pets. I spent about an hour last weekend doing that, but it was a good time because it was nice and warm. Please remember to check your windows, make sure they're closed and sealed. I had to go remind some of our soldiers in their barracks, this past weekend, to go ahead and make sure they keep their windows closed. Really what that is if it's too hot and you want to open up your window and kind of get that hot coldness, really you're putting a strain on our utilities here. And utilities around the world have been going up. We don't charge utility rates here, but it does put a strain on the system. And the more strain you put on the system, the more chance it has of actually malfunctioning. We're lucky enough here that our utilities are done here at Fort Wainwright for most of the places. But in the local area, Golden Valley Electric and some of the other electric companies have been having issues with the amount of load that their customers have been putting on it, and has been causing problems, and there's been electric outages. So we can help minimize some of that by maintaining temperatures and just leave your windows closed. And please try and use your thermostat to control the temperatures in your houses. If you're parking outside overnight, which I do on several of my cars, definitely plug your cars in when it's colder than 20 degrees, okay? This is a method or a technique that Fairbanks North Star Borough has asked us to do because of pollution in the air that comes from our vehicles, okay? So if your car is winterized, definitely plug it in. And if it's going to be colder than 20 degrees, make sure your car is plugged in so it can reduce some of that time that it takes for you to actually get out there and run your vehicle, and hopefully reduce some of the pollution in the Fairbanks North Star Borough area. And then last but not least, I said it a couple times, we're not done with winter, so don't leave your windows and garage doors open. That's good. So, and if you can, definitely with your vehicles, don't take your winter survival kits out of your vehicles yet. Make sure you've got some winter hats and gloves and jackets, and maybe some blankets or sleeping bags in there, as well as maybe some food and snacks, and definitely a shovel, because we have had some deaths this winter in Alaska due to carbon monoxide poisoning from running vehicles. Once the vehicle went into the snowbank area, they decided to keep running their vehicle and did not clear the snow away from their tailpipes, and it was able to get back into their cars, and they wound up passing away from carbon monoxide poisoning. So don't take your winter kits, your survival kits out of your cars yet. Even a simple trip off base to go do something on the weekend can turn nasty still here in the winter. So the next slide is just a reminder of our road conditions. Luckily, the last several weeks, we've been in amber here at Fort Wainwright. We have the potential to, for the rest of the winter, to go up to red. I'm not anticipating talking with the National Weather Service, any time of ever having to go to black. But we have redone our chart here to include visibility as well as road conditions, okay? This information is put out off our social media, our web pages, digital Garrison app, if you use it, soon to be my Army Post app for Fort Wainwright, as well as on the gates when you come in the gates in the morning, okay? As a reminder, how we decide what the road conditions are, a lot of it is our Department of Emergency Services, which are on duty 24/7 and are on the road. So as they see conditionings worsening with our roads, as well as visibility and projected weather changes for the future, the next 12 to 24 hours, as well as our Directorate of Public Works, who actually control our snow clearing and snow removal equipment. They get together, talk, and they make a decision on if we're going to change the road status conditions, okay? So we redid our chart here. It's on our webpage, and it explains what each of it is. So if you guys have questions, you can go to the Fort Wainwright external, facing website. But hopefully it's more helpful for y'all as it goes. So I believe that's all I've got tonight, Ron, so I'll turn it over to you, unless there's any questions from the crowd. Nothing heard. I'll turn it over to you, Ron.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So first I'll just run through our projects that we actually have one going on right now that we've continued to go through, and I've briefed the first three before. Those are all complete. Right now, if you live in Chena Bend, we're doing an attic insulation upgrade project there in all 58 homes. I think today we finished our 26th home, and we're planning to, right now we were doing 2 a day, but our contractor's done a great job of getting their process in line, and you residents have done a great job of being flexible with the schedule. And so we're gonna next week start doing 3 homes a day, and we should be done sometime around March 11th or so. So thanks for that. And then just to the so what of that project is, if you lived in Chena Bend for at least a year or so, maybe 2, we did a remodel back started in 2017, 2018 of those homes, basically renovation, and we put new roofs on all of them, but we still have ice damming, where essentially ice and snow builds up on your roof, it melts, and then you have these big, small glaciers on the side of your house and icicles, and people will have water coming in through vents in the bathroom, the exhaust vents, or even through some of your ceiling, and that's due to ice damming. So this insulation project is really focused on getting after the attics. They need to stay cold. That's how they're designed. And when you have either not enough insulation, or if the ductwork isn't fastened, you'll get heat put up into your attic instead of cold. And when heat meets cold, you get precipitation, it freezes, and you'll see big icicles. If you went up in the attic, in some cases you'll see big icicles even inside the ductwork, and that's how that water comes down your exhaust fan. If you wonder how is it leaking in there. And so part of that project was add insulation. The other was check all the ductwork and vent work to make sure that there's no loose or disconnected ducting, and make sure that it's insulated and sealed. And so by doing it in the winter, which would seem like this isn't the best time to do it, but it actually is the best time, because we can see those areas where you've got that moisture precipitation that turns into ice, and we can literally see icicles and know that, okay, that's an area that they have to foam up and focus on. So by the time we're done with this, hopefully when breakup happens, whenever that's gonna be, April, May, we should see less of that water infiltration into the house. So that's the so what of why we're doing it. And for all you folks in Chena Bend, thank you very much for being flexible and supportive of that project. Couple resident events we'll just throw out here. We're having our winter bingo. That's actually been going great. Bingo night's been pretty popular. So if you have been going, grab some other folks and bring them and come have some fun. And we're still doing photo of the month with prizes on that, and I've seen some of those, and those are great photos, so keep that going. Our big winter/spring event that we have that's been historically really popular is our Mush Madness. And are we using squid kennels again? Yeah, so we use squid kennels. They come out, they race in the Iditarod and the Yukon Quest. And so it's a real professional kennel that has their dog teams out there, and we make a path out here behind the community center, and you come on out and you get free rides around the course. You come in and warm up, be some goodies for you. It's a great event. We've had in the 600 to 800 number of folks show up before. So it's 11 to 2. Show up early. Get in line. If the weather's cold, then the teams can do more runs. So that's a day that you hope that it's a little bit colder, because then the dogs can work longer and they might stretch that 2 o'clock a little bit. So, but it's a great event, good opportunity for pitchers and for doing an Alaska unique, for the most part, Alaska unique Army experience. You know, it's not something you get to do at every Army post that you're going to get stationed at. So great event. Come and have fun. The next thing I want to mention is we've got 2 scholarship programs that we do, and it's something that you as residents really need to try to take advantage of, because this money is going to be given away from all the Lend-Lease projects. They all get to compete for this, but we've had a great record of getting, you know, at least one person selected for this just about every year, and if we can get, and sometimes we only get a couple applications. So check this out on the website here. You can contact us at the community center if you need more information than what's on the slide, but it's a great program. The Blue Star Scholarship is $5,000. That's not chump change, you know, especially when it's parents paying for it. $5,000 is $5,000. And so take advantage of that. The next one is called the Winning Edge Scholarship Program, and that's done through our Wind joint venture partner here. So I'm a Lend-Lease employee. Most of the folks that work for my project are Wind residential employees. This is through their corporate office, and it's $1,000 to $2,000. Again, great opportunity. There's websites up there. Please take advantage of this. You know, it's funny, you know, we're basically trying to give away free money, and it just surprises me every year how few people actually apply for that. So get after it and help us out, because it's really nice to see when they look at all the projects, you know, to see North Haven, smaller project, but have a bunch of people getting selected for it. So thank you very much. I'd like to highlight the RAB again, the Resident Advisory Board. Big news for us is we're up to 5 now, so thanks for the new volunteers. But we would really love to have 10 if we could get them. So if you're interested in helping your community and personally impact the quality of life of you and your neighbors, the RAB is a great way to do it. Each month we meet, you'll get to sit down with myself, my staff, the colonel and his staff, and basically represent your neighborhood and tell us, you know, this is what's going great, this is what could be better, have you thought about doing this? The folks that we have on the board and have come up with some great, not just issues, but concerns and ideas, and we've been able to move those along. So we mentioned the different surveys we do, but having this RAB is another way to get information and feedback, and then we can act on that and make life better for everybody. So it's a great opportunity. Please, if you have the desire and the time, we'd love to have you. So you want to add anything else to that?
No, that's great. So my team that shows up are my engineers show up that do public works, and my emergency services show up, as well as my housing team that shows up. So, plus my command sergeant major, because we all know how command sergeant majors can get things done. Okay, so it is a great board meeting. We bring the right people that can actually take some of these things and prioritize them and allocate resources and people to, if we need to fix something or create something, we have all the people in the room that can ask questions and then get after and start planning to accomplish some of the issues or concerns that are brought up at our RAB board. Plus, it's also feedback, kind of like in progress reviews to the resident advisory board as well on where we're at with accomplishing some of these things that we've agreed that we want to get after. So it's a great board meeting. I think we actually do get a lot done. So thank you for our 2 new members that have joined, and we encourage more. Just because we have 5 and a neighborhood may already have a RAB member on it, you know, we're always willing to have multiple RAB members per neighborhood. So if you're interested, definitely reach out to us and we can get you an application.
Yeah, that's a great point, because not all neighborhoods are represented. So some folks end up covering 2 and 3 neighborhoods. So it'd be nice if, if we had at least one per neighborhood, but we're happy to have multiple from the neighborhoods. And as the Colonel said, so prior to the meeting each month, Brianna will send out kind of the minutes of the last meeting and then look for issues. And so when issues come back, if we know, hey, we want to talk about some installation policy or some community standard or North Haven policy, we'll have the right people at the meeting at the time. So when we discuss it, it's not so much okay, what's the issue and we'll get after it. It's what's the issue? All right, team, what are we going to do about that? And so you got folks right there on the spot, accountable, already primed and prepped, ready to go, look at, hey, here's some stuff we can do to address that issue. So it's definitely worthwhile.
And it's great that I'm there because I can tell my team to get after it.
And that's how stuff happens. Okay, so I'll double tap a few things that the Colonel said just because it's worth mentioning again. The pet feces, so right now, it's easy to, I'll tell you this, just the physics of it. So it's cold out. And so the poop in the yard is pretty easy to pick up, doesn't stink, it's not gooey. Throw it in a bag, throw it in a can, not a problem. You wait, if you have the plan of, well, I'll just wait because the snow keeps covering it up. I'll wait until, it gets nice out and breakup comes, then it turns into poop stew and you have a poop lagoon in your backyard because the snow melts, but the ground's still frozen. So it's not sinking in. And so all the poop is just stewing in your backyard and it's near impossible to pick that up. And it's just a horrible mess. And so as the Colonel said, that runs into our water system on the ground, our different canals, if you will, that flow out and they flow into the Chena River and the EPA tests all that water. And when it comes back with coliform bacteria and other things, the installation actually can get fined, and they have in the past. Got fines from the EPA because of water quality impacts on the Chena River. So that's kind of just a snapshot of, hey, it's a lot easier to do it right now while it's still kind of cold. And then you don't have a huge mess and you can actually use your backyard.
And they bring lawyers.
Yeah.
They bring lawyers.
That, the lagoon might go away.
Lawyers, please, from the EPA, they're not fun.
And that lagoon will go away, but that stew's gonna stay there until like May, June, so you may not be using your backyard for a while. So, mentioned the ATVs, that's fine, sideways. Now, one thing, this came up, and it's come up twice, and kind of shocked me a little bit. So, baby wipes, no matter what they say on the label, flushable, none of those things are flushable. And so I sent out, I've had some pictures, and we've sent some of these out in a resident messaging where we have lift stations where they have to basically pump our sewage, and this is the installation in Doyon Utilities that has that, but all of your houses flow into their system. And these baby wipes jam up the pumps in the lift station, and then that's why you have all these sewage backups in your house. And they come up through the drains, the sink, the tub. It can really be horrible. But not only baby wipes, there's a bunch of like cotton rags. People are flushing like shop rags and stuff. And it's happening at a volume that it's not like, hey, my kid flushed a cloth diaper once. This is happening fairly regular. So if you're out there flushing like towels and rags, they don't go in the toilet. And they're getting clogged in these lift stations. And these pumps are like this big around, and they're totally blocked from rags and baby wipes. So please, if someone in your family is doing that, please stop, because that's what's causing your sewage backups. We've had them in Denali Village, Northtown. It's happened in multiple neighborhoods. So it is an issue, so please be aware of that. One thing I'll mention are periodic maintenance inspections. During COVID, that was all put on hold. And the Army said, hey, let's just stop doing those for like a year. Well, then that year turned into like 2. But now they've kicked it back on, and we are doing and this is a check that happens in your home once a year. But we've had some residents complain about, why are you trying to come in my house? And it's part of our preventative maintenance program to ensure your safety. So we're not coming in to spy on you. We're coming in to make sure that the smoke detectors work, that they're connected, the fire extinguisher, general safety of the home. And you'd be surprised how many people, speaking of smoke detectors and CO2 detectors, how many people disconnect those, take them off, not just even the battery. In fact, in one of the homes that burnt down and had injuries, they had completely taken them out and they were sitting on a counter in the kitchen. So don't mess with those, but that's why our folks need to come in, is to make sure that all that stuff functions properly and that you're safe. So we try to work with you, and we're not doing it to inconvenience you. We're doing it because, one, the Army said we have to do it, and two, we want to make sure that you're taken care of. So those are going to happen. Should happen once a year now that it's back on. And so, yeah, we might bug you for an hour or so, but it's once a year. And then the other thing we noticed this winter, and it's happened in the past, but we had a couple of things happen this winter. If you're leaving to go on, and I know the big exercise is getting ready to be over here, and you're going to start, a lot of folks are going to take a leave for a couple weeks. If you're leaving town, please call the community center and tell us that you're leaving town, because what's happened is we've had steam breaks or pipes break in homes that people left. Nobody's checking on it. And the damage that happened to just that, not just that home, but to multiple homes. And that's how we found out, is it impacted the neighbor next to them and the one next to them. And it had happened in a home that somebody was gone for 2-3 weeks and hadn't told anybody they were going to be gone. No one was checking on the home. That's just a recipe for disaster that can not only ruin all of your stuff, it can impact your neighbors too. So if you would, just let us know that you're leaving. Thank you. Fire, I mention this every time because we have a stovetop fire literally like every month, at least one. So I'll continue to address it. So please, realize that your stove, the top of that lifts up. You can clean underneath it, get all the grease and gunk out from underneath the drip pans. And also be mindful of whatever you have stacked next to your stove on the counter, because even if it's a few inches away, that stuff is some of the problem too. That stuff ignites that's sitting next to it. Remember that you do have a fire extinguisher in your home. Know where it's at, because we've had, and most of these are stovetop fires or unattended cooking, where you leave something on the stove and go do something else, and you come back and the stove's on fire. And then people grab whatever on the stove and they throw it in the sink and turn the water on, and then now not only is it burning above the stove, now it's burning above the sink, and people are getting injured. Just remember, you got a fire extinguisher, keep it right there where it's handy. If you do have a stovetop fire, grab that thing and spray it. A lot of residents do it, but you'd be surprised how many panic, understandably, when you have a fire there in front of you. But keep it where you can see it, have it there, use it, and just be mindful as you cook. Keep that area clean, keep the stuff away from the stove, and don't walk away when you got stuff frying on your stove. And lastly, on this point, we've had, in the past, like last month, we had like 11 openings. We've hired a whole bunch of people, but we still are looking for painters and technicians. We have one open right now, but if you're interested in property management or maintenance, painting, and these aren't artistic painters, these are painters that paint houses inside and out. We're always interested, and we do have a lot of turnover. So even though we're just showing one position right there, if you just moved here and you're interested in working with a great team, the majority of the folks here are either veterans, current dependents, or retirees. Come and join us. And even if we don't have an opening today, we might have one next week. So leasing, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. Want to talk a little bit about the Maintenance Solutions Center. So if you look at the slide, between 3 a.m. and 10 p.m., the calls are answered by live operators, and they're supposed to schedule work. And then from 10 p.m. to 3 in the morning, you get sent to a message system that comes to our on-call person if it's an emergency. And theoretically, and in the past it has worked, but we've been seeing some breakdowns lately in that Maintenance Solutions Center, which ours is located in Hawaii. And they've had trouble with manning and also with new people and not following basically not knowing their job very well yet as they are new in the position. So We've addressed some of the issues that we're seeing here, and really they're generally speaking in the you call and after hours had emergency work order, it doesn't get sent to the right person and we don't show up, or they've sent multiple technicians to the same work order. That's happened, and some residents have been annoyed with that, where, hey, a guy was just here and then 2 more guys show up later to do it, and we're working through that. And then some of that's actually been on our work order coordinator that we have, or service order coordinator, because we've had turnover there, where it had a superstar team, lost some of them, got new people in. They're still learning their job. We're down one. That caused some issues, but we're working through that, and we've got a full team again. So please do send your feedback to us if you're having issues with this, because that's something that I don't own it, but I can indirectly affect it. And when we start seeing that stuff, it gets briefed to all of our corporate leaders too. So I get to interact with them, and I can point directly to, hey, you guys need to fix this, and they're doing a great job of addressing it. So the comments we have gotten, just realize that we've got them, we're pushing them up, and they're trying to solve their issues, and then we're the ones that we can control, we're obviously fixing. Anything else on that one?
No, I mean, you did it all, so we've noticed it on our end as well. And we've been talking with North Haven Communities on that for at least the last 2 or 3 months. So there's been some growing pains with it. Just know that we recognize it. North Haven's working it up the chain, trying to work with their companies to make sure that, when you do call to get a service order, it's inputted correctly, it's categorized correctly, and they actually get a technician to come on out. Okay, so we recognize it on our end as well. Ron recognizes it, his team recognizes it, and we're working with the companies that need to work with it, keep pressuring them on them, keep pressure to make sure that they recognize that it is important to our communities here, that the system that they have in place actually works.
Yeah, and one hint I'll add. So in the problem-solving sequence, the first one should be, if you have an issue with it, let us know about it. Then the second one can be, get on social media and rant. But what we're seeing is some people, the first step is get on social media and rant, and we'll find out about it eventually indirectly. But if you just call us first, that's the quickest way to have us get after it. So, and then you're free to, then you can get on social media and then hopefully say, hey, this is how messed up it was. But once I told them, this is how they fixed it. So that's what we're going for. But it happens quicker if you contact us first and then hit social media. So please keep that in mind. Okay. And then I just want to point out here on our points of contact, we do have some new phone numbers. So if you have an old briefing or an old sheet, I think we've sent out the new contact numbers numerous different ways. It's posted on websites and all that. But we still are having people. Some of the issues is, hey, I called, and it's because you're still calling. You're calling the old numbers. So there have been. There's a new phone system which generated new phone numbers for some folks. So now that's not affecting the Army side. They still have your Army Housing Office advocates and our partners. Their numbers are the same, but the like community center and folks like that, some of those numbers have changed. And if you should have gotten it probably 3 different ways through red flag, email, and that, but it's also posted on website. So, all right. So thank you. I'll turn it back over to the Colonel.
Any questions? No. All right. Well, thank you for attending tonight, and thank you for watching online. We appreciate it. And we're going to do another one of these. Do we have a date yet? Anyone? Okay. All right. We'll let you know through Red Flag as well as through community information on when our next town hall is going to be. And we'll definitely let our resident advisors know during our RAB meetings on when the next town hall is going to be. So, well, thank you for attending, and we'll see you next time.